Zambia's outgoing president, Edgar Lungu, has conceded defeat in the Thursday presidential election. Lungu had earlier hinted that he would challenge results of the general election after accusing the opposition of fraud. But he has since congratulated President-elect Hakainde Hichilema on his landslide victory. To talk to us more about this, I'm now joined by international relations consultant Dr. Charles Sinkala, together with Africa analyst Professor Mammo Muchie. Gentlemen, good evening, and thank you very much for joining us. Dr. Sinkala, let's start with you. Power has switched hands in Zambia. I think it was in the early 60s or so that this was seen before, when power shifted hands to the opposition. What does this mean for democracy in Zambia, but also as an example to the rest of the continent?
Yes, thank you very much, and good evening to the listeners and the viewers. It is a joyous time in Zambia, especially going through the pandemic and the hardships of what Zambia has endured under the leadership of President Lungu. I think this is a signal of rejection rather than election of choice of President-elect. This actually simply means, especially to those aspiring for office, I can think of Bobby Wine from Uganda, that persistence in terms of acquiring that leadership of the country has to take time. I can also feel and think of Chamisa from Zimbabwe as they prepare for the next elections in 2 years' time. That consistency and persistence is the only way that you can attain leadership. You must show trust in the people, and people must trust you as a leader to take over the government. And President-elect HH has actually demonstrated that losing 6 times, contesting the presidential elections is part of the race, that one day he will liberate the Zambian people. I think it's a good time, especially during the hardships of the COVID pandemic, which has rocked the past 24 months in the world, that the people of Zambia had to go on the 12th to decide and choose a leader, not only a leader from the incumbent, but from the opposition political party.
Yeah. Professor Mammo Muchie, of course, you were critical of both the contenders in this particular election in our last conversation. However, the sheer size of the gap between the two certainly tells you what a majority of at least the young voters particularly feel about the ethnic divisions in Zambia.
Yes, thank you for asking the question, and it's also nice that we have Dr. Charles. So at least we have our opinions or our reflections. It's nice when you have two people, then we can debate on what's going on. But I think what is important now is that the election process, the way it went, we had difficulty. There was difficulties. There were even from the party, the governing party, 2 people were killed, and there was an army going, and in the 156 constituencies, 155 votes, and 1 were told didn't finish voting. So we had a process which was not clean and clear. But after that, the election happened, and the expectation for all of us was, what would they say? Would the defeated accept the defeat, and also do also those who won also legitimately deal with those whom they defeated? Now it looks, the one good thing we heard from both sides, I heard Lungu saying, the current president saying that the HH who won is his brother. Before he arrested him, now he called him his brother. So now I think if that happens, I think that's a great, really a great trustful pathway might come post-election time.
Right.
If this happens, Zambia, which has gone through the most difficult time now, because what I heard is the debt it has is over $12 billion, and the rate of payment they make for this date is 40 to 30%. It's really the country is in a difficult situation now. So unless they all unite, it is not going to be possible to deal with external actors that make you borrow all this money, and then you are not also gaining from your copper. You are one of the highest copper mining producer, but you are not gaining from the copper. You have not created the sovereign wealth fund like the Norwegians have done.
Yeah.
They have not done something like that. Maybe now with this HH, because he's in the economic side too, and he's what I hear is the richest man. So maybe I just hope and expect that when after this election, the crisis the country is in, the economic crisis, the poverty, the youth unemployment, everyone is saying the reason why the youth actually voted for him is because they were unemployed, mostly under the previous government. So now, what change will be coming?
Yes.
That will be for the people and for Zambia and for Africa. Is there any chance they could do this?
Right.
Will the new leadership do this? If they do, what kind of policy, economic policy, should they follow? Given now the country is under tremendous, it is totally in a difficult situation.
Right.
It's in a debt under this pandemic situation. All right, paying interest for all this foreign, and the money is coming from externally, and the externals are winning and gaining. The people are losing. How do we change this?
Yeah.
How can
let's bring
we
in
also do it? Even the SADC,
Dr.
the
Charles
SADC region also must also be thinking in terms of supporting and assisting Zambia and all the countries in the SADC area.
Let's bring in Dr. Charles on that one, and let's hear your views, Dr. Charles. Zambia becoming the first pandemic-era sovereign default. This happening in November after failing to keep up with its international debt. Does Hichilema have room to maneuver here?
Look, Zambia is not only the only country which is going through the pandemic date. Many countries as well, they're going to default because it has really been a bad time for most of the countries. I think the first thing President-elect HH will do renegotiate another term for that debt to make sure that he manages the economics of the country to start producing and printing the money so that he can be able to pay for the debt. It won't be an easy task as he just assumes office. He needs to recalculate. It is estimated that it is close to $18 billion debt, external debt plus the internal debt is about $3 billion. It's not an easy task that he has to build. Yes, he has inherited a very broken country that was managed by the outgoing President Lungu, not in the sense of a manager, but in the sense of a political cadre who wants to prove to the people that is actually performing at an expense of Zambians. He actually acquired a lot of debt in building up infrastructure without any will or political will of paying back that money. So it won't be that easy for him. But I think now the Zambians, they are aware of what is happening. A lot of young people, we saw the turnout of young people who came to vote, who came to line up, about almost more than 80%, of the registered voters. This was the highest in the history Zambia, that the young people now, they have been part of the governance to hold the leaders accountable, not only at an election day, but they are showing the interest of participating.
Now, if, of course, he's to turn this around, I mean, he's already made the promise to the people of Zambia, Prof. Mammo Muchie, that he will not let them down. What sort of reforms, very briefly, I suppose in a minute, do you think he should immediately focus on?
I think my suggestion, I don't think they will follow what I say, but in general, we just had today a very interesting panel on putting Africa first, revisited. We wrote a book on the making of African innovation systems. What we don't know in Africa is that our innovation system is very, very poor. And then in the innovation system, you need to have the different actors, all right, the stakeholders, to find a way to know how to collaborate and cooperate with each other. The state, the private sector, all right, the universities, the communities, all right, and the NGOs, the non-governmental organizations, all of them have to have some way by which they value and prioritize how do we bring the well-being of the people? How do we eradicate poverty? How do we eradicate unemployment? How do we also reduce inequality? You know, the countries that created an innovation system, a national innovation system, very strongly is in Asia, is China, and the tiger economies, all right? All these South Korea and all these other countries, they made it.
Yeah.
And they did, the way they did it is very, very different from the way we in Africa are doing it. We are depending very much on external funds, on private sectors, foreign direct investment,
yes,
on selling our own raw materials.
yes,
We never add any value to it. We don't use any technology to actually do it.
right.
What do we do? We send our, materials, and others add value, and we buy it at a higher price.
Right.
And then we borrow money, foreign direct investment. Now, if HH is genuine about it, he should listen to all of us. And the first and most important thing he should do is the key resource, the most important one, like the copper and everything. How can he not then create what the Norwegians did? The Norwegians debated for almost a year to say, let's create the sovereign wealth fund. They said, what should we do with the fund over the resource, the oil they got?
Right.
They don't have much resource, trust me.
Yes.
But from the resource they have from 1996 up until now, they have created enough wealth. Right. The entire Norwegian population have become millionaires.
Prof,
how do they do it? Should we give it to the state? Should we give it to the companies? Or should we give it to the people of Norway? They did it in Norway. Why can't also in Zambia or all of Africa, we have huge resources. Why not we create a system where we allow this and we create a trustful way by which we can manage this economy? Unless we do that, unless we have a state, a strong state that can actually manage the market, if we allow just the market and external things to do it, we'll never succeed. Trust me.
Prof, we'll have to leave it there because of time. I appreciate your time. Thank you very much for coming through. Dr. Sinkala and Professor Mammo Muchie there with us.